The metaphorical road to recovery for the people of Denali began today. The real road, the Arthur Highway, finally at least partially reopened.
We're helping too by triggering some important emergency payments that help people when they are in these dark days.
Denali's school, church, hall, local businesses and some 60 homes no longer exist, consumed by the blaze that began near Fawcett in Friday's scorching temperatures and searing winds. The logistical nightmare that's confronted fire crews battling these blazes and rescue workers trying to get locals and stranded tourists off the Forestier and Tasman peninsulas is in many ways an integral part of this area's history. The narrow finger of land over here at Denali and further south at Eagle Hawk Neck are the only ways in and out of this part of Tasmania by land. And that's exactly what made Port Arthur, further south, the perfect place to house convicts. Convoys of recovery crews and resupply vessels are now working to reach isolated areas, but emerging from the ashes, one incredible tale of a family's separation, survival, loss and ultimately reunion.
I'm about 5 kilometres west of Denali, where it's understood most of the damage from today's fire has been caused.
Mother of 5, Bonnie Walker, lived next to her parents' well-known Potters Croft property in Denali.
I had a funeral that I had to attend in Hobart on Friday, so it was already a sad day for me. It was really hot, probably mid-30s by that point, and it felt eerily wrong to be driving away, but I wanted to honour the commitment I'd made to be with my friends who'd lost their friend.
On Friday morning, Bonnie Walker's children, the eldest 11, the youngest almost 2, were next door in the care of their grandparents, Tim and Tammy Holmes, Bonnie's mother and father.
I got as far as Sorell through the fires. It was a really quite awful experience driving through the fires. They were about to jump the highway, as it turned out. And so as I just got through and listening to the ABC radio, and the road closed behind me.
Roads to the Tasman Peninsula were blocked as the fire spread rapidly.
So we just waited by the phone and received a message at 3:30 to say that Mum and Dad had evacuated, that they were surrounded by fire, and could we pray. So I braced myself to lose my children and my parents.
We saw tornadoes of fire just coming across towards us. And the next thing we knew, everything was on fire everywhere, all around us.
Tim Holmes scrambled for the waterfront and safety.
We lost 3 houses, and by that time I'd sent Tammy, here she comes, Gran, with the children to get down to the jetty because there was no other escape. We couldn't get off.
Came from both directions. Came at us and then from the side.
I ended up having to run down through a wooded area on my own where there was so much smoke and fire I didn't know where I was, so I just kept running. So there was a moment of fear that this could be very, very dangerous, but I managed to run through and get to the water's edge, which was a kind of a sanctuary.
A few minutes later an image arrived, which was really, it's still quite upsetting to see the image. It's of all of our 5 children underneath the jetty, huddled up to neck deep seawater, which is cold. We've swam the day before and it was cold. So I knew that would be a challenge to keep 3 non-swimmers above water. And with only my mum and dad and our eldest daughter.
Even though there was hot ash and everything all over us, it was still cold.
We were relying on the jetty really, and the difficulty was there was so much smoke and ember, and that there was only about probably 200 to 300 mil of air above the water. So we were all just heads, water up to our chins, just trying to breathe, because it was just, the atmosphere was so incredibly toxic.
That was a very perilous time.
And then it raged for 3 hours because there was a lot of sort of it was a wooded point. So everything was on fire, and it was just exploding all over the place. Yeah, amazing, just scorched.
When the inferno finally subsided, Tim Holmes salvaged his dinghy.
My father rallied against all odds and managed to go up and get a little dinghy off the foreshore and loaded our children in and my mum and then dragged it into a headwind 200-300 metres around the point into the headwind and got them to safety so that they weren't breathing the polluted air.
After a sleepless night at the Denali Hotel late on Saturday, the family is ferried back to safety by sea rescue volunteers.
Yeah, spent a lot of time with good friends and prayed like I've never prayed before, and I think those prayers have been answered. So, yes, Charlotte, those prayers have been answered. So
They're right in front of you.
right in front of me. Yeah, yeah. You're home.
One family member, however, wasn't with them. Hiking along Tasmania's remote southern coastline, husband and father David Walker, chaplain of the now destroyed Denali School, was uncontactable, totally unaware of the unfolding disaster.
It's a pretty tough bit of news you got to break.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Yeah, that's right. So I'll sit him down and we'll work through it.
At dawn yesterday, brother-in-law Angus Douglas left Hobart in the ABC's helicopter. The first campsite yields news David's party has moved on.
I found you, mate. Everything's all right?
The kids all right?
Yeah, they're waiting to see you.
Joined by David's fellow walkers, Angus explains.
Yes, there's nothing left there, Dave. It's unfortunate the school and the servo, the old hall, the church, and probably half the dwellings in the town. So it's been the epicentre of damage of this fire. It's the worst thing, obviously, since '67.
David Walker packs his tent and gear, farewelling his companions.
Right, it's just light. Okay. All the best. Thanks, Pete. We'll see you back in town.
45 minutes after being plucked from the wilderness, David and family are reunited in Hobart.
Thank God you're all safe and well.
No problem.
Ash from Friday's fire had landed on the Walkers 115 kilometres away, and David Walker had a premonition the night before.
When I heard the helicopter coming in this morning, I felt that the helicopter was coming in for me. I had a little bit of a dream during the night that I was going to be rescued by helicopter.
The Walker and Holmes families are currently staying with friends in nearby Dodgers Ferry. Their road to recovery will undoubtedly be a long and difficult one, but David Walker says faith is on the family's side.
When the helicopter landed, all I wanted to know was that Bonnie and the children were safe and all the things that we've lost. Yeah, there's some precious memories there, but they can be replaced, material things, but my wife and children, not so easily replaced. So, yeah, I just feel blessed that my family's all together. Yeah, and Bonnie's parents are still alive. It's fantastic.